Whenever a new Smash Bros. Title is announced, one character is destined to become the fan favorite that fans push to be included over all others, regardless of whether or not the character is supposedly deconfirmed. Throughout the history of the Smash series, only one of these fan favorite characters actually made an appearance in the game they were being pushed for, that being Sonic the Hedgehog in Brawl, with all the other fan favorite characters becoming playable further down the line. Which leads us to Ultimate, where a certain character has taken the spotlight as a supposed fan favorite. And while he was always considered a popular request among spectators, the support he received in Ultimate dwarfed his fan outcry from all the other Smash titles combined. That character, of course, is the titular purple plumber from the Mario series, Waluigi. As is to be expected of the Smash community, whatever becomes popular tends to draw the ire of fans and speculators alike, be it either because their character was deconfirmed or simply to just make people angry. However, unlike many instances in the past where a majority of the toxicity around a character's inclusion came from the opposition instead of the fans, Waluigi's own fans have built a reputation for being one of the most infamous fan bases for a single character. Thanks especially to a spree of toxic posts pointed towards the game's director, Masahiro Sakurai, that occurred for over a month after Ultimate's announcement at E3. On top of that, a wave of memes, cosplay, and internet notoriety has led to Waluigi's inclusion in Smash Bros. Seeming more like a joke than something people actually want, although said notoriety has seemingly died down quite a bit since Ultimate's release. However, as to be expected, there will always be a group of people that push for the lanky sports aficionado's inclusion in Smash Bros. And while I wouldn't really consider myself on the same level as others, I genuinely feel that he has the potential to be a fun character with his own unique feel and personality. And unlike a lot of the potential characters they could add to Smash, there is a lot of ways that they could take this character, if the abundance of Waluigi movesets are anything to go by. And that's why I'm here today, to put my own spin on an old character and try to design a Waluigi that is all my own, while keeping as true to the source material as possible. This is Waluigi for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Waluigi! Waluigi is a defensive character who excels at holding his ground and spacing out his opponent, all thanks to his long-range normals, powerful specials, and surprisingly fast ground speed. Characters with limited range will find themselves having a very hard time getting close to him, but despite being very strong at mid-range, Waluigi lacks the tools to play an effective long-range game, and will end up struggling against characters that can bunker down and control screen space with projectiles. However, while Waluigi has notable weaknesses, his unique character mechanic offers the player extra options that might turn a losing matchup in their favor, even if his means of evening the playfield might not exactly be honest. Waluigi is a large humanoid character, his height being substantially taller than his fellow plumbers as he stands a bit taller than Captain Falcon. As I said earlier, Waluigi is a character with so many different options for a playstyle, that while most movesets use some core themes of the character, it's very rare for two movesets to be completely identical. For my moveset, however, I feel it's important for us to look at the design philosophy of a couple of characters first, more specifically Wario and Luigi. The abbot to Waluigi's Costello, Wario in Smash Bros. Is a character whose playstyle is heavily based on his personality as an arrogant and greedy individual who wants results as quickly as possible, whether said results are money, power, or whatever else he desires. This, like the Warioware titles, has led to a moveset that is quick and choppy, but also very strong. So strong in fact that many players believe that they're at a natural stock disadvantage against this character. However, one of Wario's most identifiable character aspects, especially in his earlier years, is his connection to Mario. And although his envy for the iconic plumber has become a less prominent part of his character over the years, it's still an aspect that is clearly portrayed in his moveset, as a decent chunk of his moves are alternative renditions of Mario's attacks. Where Mario's attacks show skill and finesse, Wario's attempts to mimic these attacks are choppy and unrefined, but in exchange, they're also much faster. This also plays into Wario's personality, for the quicker he can deal damage, the quicker he can win. And the quicker he can win, the quicker he can proclaim himself as the best. Skill and results are two different things, and Wario clearly covets the latter over the former. Then there's Luigi, who is practically the opposite of Mario in terms of design. Instead of being a character who is well-rounded with no major downsides, Luigi is a character with extreme upsides, but also extreme downsides. His incredible frame data, combo game, and nearly unmatchable ability to rack up damage are countered by poor traction, very poor air acceleration, subpar overall movement speed, and a much weaker neutral game. Like Wario, this departure from Mario's playstyle is built off of Luigi's personality, with Luigi's lack of confidence and reclusive nature leading to attacks that, while fast, are only active for a very short amount of time, so much so that it almost feels like it's a reluctance to attack altogether. So how does this all tie into Waluigi? Well, in terms of character design, Waluigi will share a lot of the same character beats as Wario, although he'll take it in a completely different direction thanks to the contrasting personalities of these two characters. Where Wario is selfish and wants things fast, Waluigi is passionate and will put everything he has into winning. And as a result, Waluigi's fighting style will have him put everything he has into his attacks, leading to moves with large elaborate animations that compensate the range and speed for being a bit slow on the recovery. As for Luigi, he represents everything that Waluigi wishes to surpass. For Waluigi's rivalry with Luigi is arguably just as bitter as Wario's is with Mario. Where Luigi is a hyper-focused character with strengths just as great as his weaknesses, Waluigi is a lot more robust with his attack options. Where Luigi's game plan is very one-dimensional, Waluigi is technical and much harder to figure out. Where Luigi is all about burst damage, Waluigi is more about consistent damage and control, which leads to more damage over a longer period of time in exchange for weaker KO options. It should also be noted that Waluigi will have moves that are his own take on Luigi's attacks, with Waluigi turning these attacks into flashy spectacles that are designed to dwarf Luigi's in terms of style and damage. While he might draw inspiration from both Wario's design philosophy and Luigi's attacks, Waluigi is in a bit of a unique spot. For unlike the other iconic plumbers of old, Waluigi has never been a part of any mainline Mario title, instead only appearing in the spin-off titles. As a result, making Mario the basis for Waluigi just doesn't work. But thankfully, there's a base Waluigi can use that has been a major part of his character since his inception. As a matter of fact, it was his inception, and that's tennis. Pulling from his roots, Waluigi will fight with a tennis racket in his hand, this weapon acting like that of a sword and giving his already long-range attacks even more distance. On top of his stance and fighting style, Waluigi will also pull from Mario Tennis for some of his extra animations, including his rolls, sidestep, and his intro animation. Of course, Waluigi will also reference the other spin-off titles he has appeared in, but the tennis racket is the only sports-themed item that Waluigi will use in this moveset. In terms of mobility options, Waluigi has 2 jumps, along with a wall jump. Mario is the iconic hero. Luigi is the soft-spoken and reserved sidekick. Wario is the greedy and narcissistic opposite to Mario's selfless and outgoing nature. But Waluigi is something a little bit different. Waluigi is a character who is defined by his personality, a personality that is drenched in both arrogance and self-pity. Arguably considered the biggest foil of the Mario cast, if not all of Nintendo, Waluigi simply desires one thing above all else. He wants to win. He wants to be the center of attention, and he will do everything in his ability to obtain said victory. It's not unlikely to see Waluigi basking in his own vanity after a win. And as a result, he has bad chemistry with almost every other character in the franchise. Hell, even his relationship with Wario is rocky at best. However, while he's not afraid to boast, Waluigi's duality is put on full display the moment he starts losing.
Everybody cheating!
Waluigi feels that he's constantly put at a disadvantage, that his losses aren't a result of himself and rather that his opponents cheated. This self-pity is often seen as one of the cornerstones of his character, with said self-pity often developing into unbridled rage and, more often than not, cheating in order to win. It's this part of Waluigi's character that makes up the basis of his character mechanic, which has fittingly been titled Sore Loser. If Waluigi falls more than 30% behind his opponent when in a match, Waluigi will let out a battle cry to let his opponent know just how he feels about them.
Cheaters!
With this, Waluigi's idle animation will shift from his usual pose to that of a more aggressive stance, keeping low to the ground with notable shades of anger growing across his face. Waluigi has officially entered Sore Loser mode, and as to be expected of his character, it's here where Waluigi will do whatever it takes to win, even cheat. All 4 of Waluigi's specials will gain either an extra attribute or another attack option, on top of the player getting access to abilities that a Smash Ultimate character wouldn't normally have access to. In particular, Waluigi's moves will not be able to be nullified, with Waluigi performing a counterattack should he and his opponent trade with attacks of equal strength. On top of that, Waluigi will also gain armor on all of his Smash attacks, along with the return of an ability that, while it was commonplace in Melee, hasn't been seen since. That's right, Waluigi is capable of reflecting projectiles should he perform a perfect shield, with Waluigi performing a laughing taunt after the reflect. This won't increase the damage of the reflected projectile, but it will increase its movement speed by 1.2 times its original value. Waluigi will stay in this mode until the point where he gets a stock or KO lead in a match, meaning that if he falls behind by 2 or more stocks and lands a KO, he'll still retain his Sore Loser mode when going into his opponent's next stock. While the natural start of Sore Loser is a 30% deficit, Waluigi will automatically go into Sore Loser mode should he lose a stock before his opponent, either by naturally being KO'd or being gimped early. Since Waluigi's specials are directly tied to his character mechanic, it's only fitting that I cover them before I talk about his normals. Waluigi's specials are all moves that directly cater to his wild and unrestrained personality, paying respect to a varied set of game series that have been Waluigi's only home front in the Mario series. Also, as previously mentioned, all of Waluigi's specials have a unique secondary ability once he enters his Sore Loser state. Waluigi's standard special will put his trusty tennis racket to use with Power Serve, a multiple stage move that starts with Waluigi pulling out a purple tennis ball from God knows where and tossing it up into the air. In this state, the player can then press the B button again and Waluigi will bring his racket down and send the ball flying, the player being able to move the control stick up and down to alter the trajectory of the ball once it has been served. Once the ball is in play, it will act much like your standard projectile, in that it has a set level of priority over other attacks while being able to be reflected, with the priority on the serve being dependent on the timing of the attack. The ball will then continue to stay active for a set period of time, allowing Waluigi to keep up the pressure with the second form of his standard special, Return. By holding the B button, the player can charge up their swing to give it even more power, and once the player is ready to try and return, they can attack in one of several different ways. By holding the B button and releasing as normal, the player will perform a top spin, causing the ball to travel quickly in a straightforward line. Holding forward while swinging will perform a flat, which is the fastest way of returning the ball in return for a lack of bounce. Holding up will turn the shot into a lob, which is a long shot designed to send the ball flying far into the court, and as a result, it flies in a wide arc and is best used as an anti-air option. Finally, when holding down, the shot is turned into a slice, which slows the ball's momentum a bit and keeps it low to the ground, making it the best shot for countering an opponent at the ledge. Each shot will also have a distinct trail, with top spins having a red trail, slice having a blue trail, flat having a green trail, and lobs having an orange trail. As long as the ball stays in play, Waluigi can perform these returns as much as he wants, with the actual tennis swings also acting as powerful close-range attacks should your opponent get between you and your ball. However, one thing that should also be mentioned is that the opponent is also capable of sending the ball back at Waluigi, and should Waluigi be hit by his own ball, it will instantly disappear and the ball will be put on a small timer, much like how Wario's bike takes a moment to come back after it has been destroyed. It should also be mentioned that Waluigi does not have to hit his opponent in order to have the ball returned to him, for the ball will bounce off of invisible walls situated on the right, left, and top sides of the screen, giving the dastardly devil mix-up potential in how he wishes to pressure his opponent's sense of control. When Waluigi enters into sore loser mode, Power Serve is transformed into Liar Serve, which serves as a reference to the Mario Slugger series as Waluigi makes use of his iconic Waluigi eggplant item to stir up chaos. When Waluigi serves the ball in Liar Serve, his eyes will flash purple, much like how they do in the original Mario Tennis, and upon launching the ball, 2 balls will be released. However, after the balls bounce once, the second ball gets a distinct purple trail to differentiate it from the first ball, this being the Liar Ball. If an opponent is hit by this ball, the ball will reveal itself as the Waluigi eggplant and explode into a cloud of purple smoke, dealing minimal damage but also putting a damage over time effect on the opponent hit. However, if the opponent chooses to shield against the Liar Ball, they will instead take a much larger chunk of damage and be forced into a short stun state, much like they would be if they had their shield broken, leaving them wide open to be punished by the Waluigi player. Of course, they have a means of fighting back, as hitting the Liar Ball will not break it, meaning that Waluigi can be hit and poisoned by his own cheating device. But Waluigi can just as easily return the Liar Ball as he does his regular ball, meaning that it's just safer to jump or roll out of the way. Of course, if you're feeling ballsy, the Liar Ball can also be perfect shielded, but whether or not you're willing to risk the damage is up to you. For his side special, Waluigi pulls from another one of his iconic abilities, while also doing his best to one-up his eternal rival, Luigi. A unique take on swimming return, this move is Purple Torpedo. By holding the B button, Waluigi will build up energy within his body, scrunching down and preparing to launch before flying off, spinning through the air in a purple-tinted whirlpool and scooping up anyone in his path. Afterwards, Waluigi will finish this move with a power swing from his racket, launching the opponent away with a heavy amount of force. This move is designed to be a rapid damage version of Luigi's green missile, but as Waluigi usually does, he goes above and beyond to create a move so big and flashy that practicality is often a second thought. As a result, this move is overall stronger than Green Missile, but lacks the randomness of Green Missile's misfire, as well as being a lot slower on the recovery. When Sore Loser is active, Purple Torpedo will receive an extra attack option in the form of Violet Napalm. While Purple Torpedo's Whirlpool Spin is active, pressing the B button will have Waluigi's eyes flash purple, the spinning coming to a stop as Waluigi throws himself through the air, his body going rigid as it flies into any opponent in his way, this attack having even more launch power than Purple Torpedo. It's not enough for Waluigi to just have a move that's bigger and flashier than Luigi's, he also wants to prove that he can do the whole missile thing too, and while this attack's power is great, it still isn't as powerful as a misfired Green Missile. Although Waluigi will get stuck in a wall should he use it too close to a solid surface. For his recovery special, Waluigi pulls from another one of his abilities from the Mario Tennis series, namely his offensive power shot, the Waluigi, while also doing his best to prove his superiority over his less spindly rival, which is titled Violet Cyclone. When this move is activated, Waluigi will spin rapidly, all while ascending through the air at an incredible speed. After a set period of time, Waluigi will strike an aerial pose similar to the one he takes at the beginning of the Waluigi, all before going into a clumsy, unreformed freefall state. While spinning, the player can mash the B button in order to gain extra distance in the air, with this move's vertical speed being much higher than its horizontal speed, making it a bit hard to control. Waluigi is also fully vulnerable while performing his aerial taunt, meaning this move can be easily exploitable should the player miss the ledge. As you might have figured out already, this move is a direct contender with Luigi's Green Cyclone, especially pre-ultimate as it no longer recovers vertically. Anything Luigi can do, Waluigi can do better. Or so he might think anyways. When Sore Loser is active, Violet Cyclone is changed into Violent Cyclone, greatly increasing the move's recovery range and damage while also making the move much easier to control overall. On top of that, the taunt at the end of the move will be turned into a powerful final attack to send caught opponents flying, on top of protecting Waluigi as he falls back to the stage. While this move is improved overall, Waluigi still retains his freefall state after the move concludes, And unlike the regular version of this attack, Violent Cyclone doesn't instantly snap to the ledge. There always has to be a hole in Waluigi's plans, no matter how hard he tries to win. For his down special, Waluigi steps away from his tennis abilities and chooses to represent another iconic Mario spin-off franchise that he's a common guest in, and that's Mario Party, and more specifically, making use of the iconic dice block. When this move starts, a dice block will appear above Waluigi's head, it rapidly spinning until the B button is pressed again, in which the dice will stop and give a number between 1 and 6. The number given by the dice block will then act as a damage multiplier for Waluigi's next successful melee attack, increasing the move's damage and knockback by 0.1 times, or 10%, meaning that Waluigi can have his next attack's damage and knockback increased by up to 60%. However, as is to be expected of these kinds of abilities, there is a catch, and one is the fact that while it increases damage and knockback, it does not increase shield pressure, meaning that the opponent can shield the attack just as they would any other time Waluigi uses it. But keep in mind that Waluigi's attacks, overall, deal a lot of shield damage. On top of that, once the dice has been consumed, Waluigi will not be able to immediately use another dice. In order to properly display this to the player, a dice icon will be shown above Waluigi's percent bar, the dice showing the active number while also graying out once the dice has been used. The dice will then slowly fill up purple, and once it does, the dice will be usable, a prompt saying Waluigi's turn then being shown above Waluigi's percent bar, referencing Mario Party's turn system. When Sore Loser is active, this down special is instead turned into loaded dice. With a purple flash of his eyes, Waluigi will summon forth a special Waluigi dice block as opposed to the regular one he'd hit, with this special dice making the lowest possible number Waluigi can roll a 3. Meaning a minimum of 30% extra damage. On top of that, attacks will now gain extra shield damage. However, the buffs from loaded dice are also time-based, meaning that Waluigi now also has to land an attack within a certain amount of time or the damage buff will be lost and the dice must be reset. Next is the Final Smash, and if there's one part of Waluigi's moveset I've seen that's been taken all over the place, this is definitely it. From Mario Strikers to Mario Party to Tennis Aces, there's been a ton of different Waluigi Final Smashes, and I'm willing to throw my lot in with a fun and creative one I came up with, simply titled Waluigi Pinball. When the Final Smash starts, Waluigi will hop into a Mario Kart and zoom forward across the screen at incredible speed. Any opponent caught in this hit-and-run attack will be flung into a cinematic Final Smash, with Waluigi driving off-screen as the opponent is transported to Waluigi Pinball, his iconic stage from Mario Kart 7. After a brief moment of respite, all caught opponents will be bombarded by pinballs as the camera pulls back to show Waluigi playing on a pinball machine, this stylish purple machine rocking the same name as his titular stage. Waluigi will smash the flippers and shake the machine as the opponent's damage is racked up, all before he goes in for the final attack, a trio of massive pinballs pinning the opponent as Waluigi achieves a high score. When the Final Smash ends, the opponent will be launched skyward and Waluigi will celebrate, with his celebration quickly turning to anger should his opponent survive the attack. Waluigi's normals are designed to be large, hard-hitting attacks that exchange speed for range and control, with Waluigi's long legs being a major part of his moveset. Other than his legs, Waluigi will use his massive tennis racket in tandem with his already long arms to give him some of the best disjointed normals in the game. Waluigi's neutral combo is a quick combo of jab, racket swing, then a rising kick. This jab combo launching the opponent at a more vertical angle as opposed to horizontal. It's quick, it's simple, and of course it ends with Waluigi making a little noise. Forward tilt will have Waluigi step forward and perform a straight kick, his legs sticking straight out and covering a wide distance. This attack is quite similar to Ganondorf's forward tilt, with this move being a bit faster to start up and covering even more range in exchange for being a bit slower on the recovery. Also, to add on to his boisterous nature, a lot of Waluigi's simple attack animations have a small taunt animation associated with it, for when Waluigi succeeds at anything, he wants you to know about it. For forward tilt, Waluigi will strike a short pose before going back to his idle animation. Up tilt will have Waluigi performing a leaping strike with his racket, striking overhead in a wide arc. This is Waluigi's play on Luigi's up tilt, and once completed, Waluigi will perform a fist pump. Down tilt will have Waluigi perform a sweeping kick, this attack being able to trip up an opponent should they only be hit by Waluigi's foot. This is one of Waluigi's fastest overall moves, and since that's the case, it's one of the few moves Waluigi has that doesn't have a taunt associated with it. Dash attack is called Sliding Intercept, which is a callback to Waluigi's appearance in Mario Strikers. Waluigi will slide forward along the ground and knock opponents away upon contact, the way he situates his legs during the slide being similar to Mario's dash attack. However, Waluigi's proportions give this attack nearly twice the range, with the launch angle being more vertical. For his get-up attack, Waluigi will perform a spinning kick, while performing a vertical racket slice for his ledge attack. If Waluigi's normal attacks were made to be bombastic and overblown, leave it to his smash attacks to go one step beyond. These are the moves that Waluigi puts his everything into, and will definitely do everything he can to be the best performer on the battlefield. Waluigi's forward smash is Crooked Swing, a wide-hitting racket swing that starts low and ends high, its hitbox being L-shaped and fitting Waluigi's motif. Since the move starts low, it has the potential to edgeguard an opponent's recovery, while also having the potential of knocking your opponent out of the air. However, since Waluigi puts his whole body into this swing, it will take him a bit of time to recover, meaning that it's very unsafe on shield. Waluigi's up smash is Gamma Launcher, with Waluigi launching his body upwards to perform a breakdance move, this attack hitting multiple times before launching the opponent away with a mighty strike. Waluigi will situate his body in the shape of his reverse L at the climax of this move, covering a wide distance with a long-lasting hitbox. But since Waluigi is known for showing off his accomplishments, he'll want to keep this pose as long as possible, meaning it's very slow on the recovery. The way Waluigi sticks his legs out might also lead to him getting hit by attacks his thin frame normally wouldn't be hit by. Finally, Waluigi's down smash is Breakdown Strike, which is similar in style to the down smashes of Mario, Luigi, and Wario respectively, with Waluigi's long legs providing an astounding amount of range compared to the other three characters. This attack will hit hard, with it being a great way to edgeguard and catch an opponent's tech options. But Waluigi will strike a pose at the end of the move, leaving him open to attack should his opponent be able to close the distance. While Waluigi will perform a taunt-like animation at the end of each smash attack, the player does have the ability to cancel the taunts early with either regular attacks or special moves, much like you can with Incineroar. But unlike Incineroar, Waluigi must complete the main animation of the taunt before the player can cancel into another move. To give a hypothetical example, if Waluigi's down smash taunt is 40 frames total, but it takes 12 frames to show off the main animation of the taunt, then the earliest a player can cancel into another action would be 12 frames. Waluigi's aerials are his own personal spin on moves performed by other characters, sacrificing cooldown for range and power. However, it must be mentioned up front that while it's nearly impossible for Waluigi to perform more than one aerial in a single jump, Waluigi's aerials have minimal landing lag, meaning that instead of being able to do a ton of aerials in a single set of jumps, he can perform a set of jumps quickly to perform a large amount of aerials. A reverse take on Luigi's abilities, which I feel fits the character perfectly. Waluigi's neutral air is Triple Kick, which has Waluigi perform a pair of quick kicks before performing a long-lasting aerial kick, similar to the neutral air of Mario and Luigi. And like said neutral airs, Waluigi will hold this kick until he touches the ground, dealing damage to anyone who touches his leg while it is extended. This move is one of Waluigi's best moves to use in the neutral, as landing with this attack can lead to possible grounded follow-ups against your stunned opponent. Waluigi's forward air is Racket Smack, which is a tennis racket rendition of Luigi's forward air. With this, Waluigi will chop using his racket, this move being very quick to start, but since Waluigi puts a lot more energy into this attack than Luigi, it takes a lot more time to recover. Waluigi's back air is Crooked Roundhouse, which will have Waluigi flip around in mid-air and perform a powerful roundhouse kick. This move is similar to that of Sonic's back air, and for good reason. For if Sonic believes himself to be better than Mario, who is held in better regard than Luigi, then surely someone looking to be better than both of them like Waluigi would want to take notes. However, since rolling in a ball isn't something Waluigi can easily perform, mastering some of his melee attacks is a great way to show his superiority. And it shows, as Waluigi's legs give him far more reach than the Speedy Hedgehog. Waluigi's down air is Violet's Step, a unique aerial that starts with a pair of quick stomping kicks before kicking down with both feet at the same time, which will meteor smash any opponent hit by the beginning of the third kick. In terms of spike strength, Violet's Step is around the same level as Luigi's down air, although it's much slower to come out as only the third kick can spike. Finally, Waluigi's up air is Crooked Tower, which will have Waluigi tuck his legs into his chest before thrusting them upwards into the air, foregoing the combo-centric attacks of his fellow Mario Quartet, instead going with a move designed to deal damage and KO opponents. At first glance, it actually looks similar to that of Fox's up air, a move that has had a consistent reputation for being one of Fox's best moves. With Fox being a character who has been considered a strong competitive contender throughout the entirety of the Smash Bros. Series, surely a wannabe Smash fighter would want to try and replicate that winning formula, right? Waluigi will grab his opponent using his free hand, while jabbing with his knee in order to pummel. While Waluigi might try his best to show off and outdo the likes of Mario and Luigi in his regular moveset, it's here in his grabs that Waluigi goes his own way. Waluigi's forward throw will have him reach his leg back before driving it into his opponent's chest and/or bodily equivalent, launching his opponent away in a straight line with a decent amount of launch power. It's straight to the point and deals moderate damage. Back throw will have Waluigi roll backwards with his opponent in tow before kicking the opponent away using his legs, flipping back onto his feet as the attack ends. Waluigi will actually cover a decent amount of horizontal range when rolling back with his opponent, so setting up a throw at the ledge is pretty easy, which goes hand in hand with the fact that this is Waluigi's strongest throw overall. Up throw will have Waluigi shove his tennis racket below his opponent's feet, all before sending them flying upwards with an upward tennis swing. This throw is rather goofy in nature and acts as Waluigi's combo throw. Finally, down throw will have Waluigi toss his opponent to the ground and stomp down on them, burying them in the floor. Since he's been doing this to us for at least 12 years now as an assist trophy, giving Waluigi a bury was basically a necessity at this point. But since it was a random inclusion to a character that normally wasn't known for doing this, I felt that simply making it his down throw was more than enough to scratch that itch. Waluigi's victory theme goes the Wario route and strays away from the rest of the Mario series, with Waluigi's victory theme being Waluigi Pinball. Victory animation number 1 will have Waluigi moonwalk into view of the camera, all before spinning around and striking a pose. While Waluigi has performed a moonwalking animation in other games, this victory animation is based on Waluigi's victory animation from Super Mario Party. Victory animation number 2 will have Waluigi holding a massive tennis trophy, showing it off and cheering for himself as the camera zooms in on him striking a triumphant pose. This is based on Waluigi's tournament victory animation from Mario Tennis, his debut game. Finally, victory animation number 3 will have Waluigi drive by the camera in a Mario Kart, giving a pose of victory as he lets out his catchphrase. Waluigi's first taunt is based on his receiving taunt in Mario Tennis Aces, which will have him raise an arm up over his head before going into an exaggerated bow. As he bows, he will either berate his opponent or make a funny little noise.
Yah-ha!
Waluigi's second taunt will have him pull out a rose and smell it, all before tossing it out in front of him. This rose will deal 1% damage if it hits an opponent, with the rose also launching the opponent straight away as opposed to straight up or down. One could almost consider this a crooked version of Luigi's down taunt, only with more range as it acts like a projectile. Finally, Waluigi's third taunt is based on his intro animation from Mario Tennis Aces, in which he'll spin around and strike a pose as he makes his iconic noise. Waluigi's colors are split into two different outfits, with his regular plumber outfit being his default costume, while his Tennis Aces outfit is a secondary costume. Each costume having 4 colors. Color number 1 is Waluigi's standard purple appearance, the striking double blend of violet helping the bright yellow L on his hat stand out quite well. Color number 2 is based on Fireflower, Mario, and Luigi, with Waluigi gaining a white hat and shirt while his overalls remain a bright purple. The L on his hat is now purple as well. Color number 3 is based on his best bro, Wario, and by that, I mean his Warioware outfit, with Waluigi getting a deep blue hat and shirt while his overalls change to a bright pink. Color number 4 is based on Waluigi's greatest rival, Luigi, with his shirt and hat changing to a vibrant green and his overalls changing to a dark blue. Color number 5 is the standard look of his Tennis Aces outfit, featuring a purple shirt, purple shorts, and a visor in the place of his iconic hat. Finally, colors 6 through 8 are based on the Tennis Aces appearances of Mario, Luigi, and Wario, turning Waluigi's outfit a bright red, vibrant green, and brilliant yellow respectively. Also, when Kirby absorbs Waluigi, he'll gain a replica of Waluigi's hat and gain access to Power Serve in return, with Kirby also being able to perform the 4 different returns that Waluigi can perform. Waluigi, the myth, the man, the meme, is a character that is going to continue to stay relevant in the minds of Smash players. While his odds don't look the greatest for Ultimate, I feel it's only a matter of time until Waluigi becomes the next biggest Nintendo character that they could possibly add to the game. As much like the last kid waiting to be chosen for your average sports event, it's only a matter of time until they're chosen and given a chance to prove themselves. I, for one, look forward to what they could possibly achieve when designing a moveset for Waluigi. And regardless of whether or not Ultimate is Waluigi's time to shine, I will definitely give him a try whenever he finally gets his chance. He really does feel like an inevitability, but please, from one Waluigi fan to another, don't eat Sakurai alive if he isn't in Fighters Pass 2. The last thing we need is to leave this game's lifespan in the same way we came into it. Kicking and screaming. If you like what you saw, feel free to like and subscribe, as there's more content coming in the future, and hopefully on a much smoother pace. Until then, feel free to follow my Twitter and keep an eye out for what's coming next. Also, I'm considering opening a Patreon at some point this year, but I'm not fully sold on whether or not it's a good idea as of right now. I'll let you know. But until then, since I'm unoriginal and don't have a great way of closing out these videos, stay safe, take care, and have a good one.
Waluigi #1.